interfere with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Work with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom, boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on it index. Whip this up, I send you back to your ex. But good luck with that, this is big as it gets. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. See how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever. Yeah. Oh shoot, they don't let me shoot a whole clip. Firepower in this coalition. We just turned the field into a demolition. It was desolate, but I had premonition. I was training for war every exhibition, every extra mission, every enemy listening. Get off my dick, I got bad intentions. Make it right every wrong, and I'm back with a vengeance. I show you the ropes. Peace in my town, I can show you the coast. Up in the shots if they wanted to smoke. If you know, then you know. Suited up, my whole team do the same. Don't you forget who created the game. Ready for war, I was born with grenades. The trenches where soldiers are made. Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever. Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna shout out everybody who was in the building early. All right, shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's good with it? Good to see you as always. Shout out to Carlton Way. It's good to see you as always, bro. And shout out to Jerry Bedford. All right, it is good to see you. And anybody else who has not said hello yet, hello. How you doing? All right, how you doing? All right. So y'all know what we own. Y'all know what we've been discussing. The discussion will carry on. We just go carry it on in the reacts tradition of the Ducats over here on Undocumented, and we're gonna talk about these 2025 mass deportations. All right, but before we get into that, gotta let's go. I was gonna start it out talking about that, but we actually might have to talk about something else. How many people have heard about the quote unquote Hunter Biden pardon? If you guys heard about the Hunter Biden pardon, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about the Hunter Biden pardon, then give me a thumbs down. Now, why am I asking about that? I'm asking about that because it's kind of bizarre. Okay? I'm asking about that because it's kind of bizarre. Why is it kind of bizarre? It's kind of bizarre because Joe Biden had said that he wasn't going to do this. Joe Biden had said that he was not going to do this. Do you guys remember that? So let's take a look at this real quick and maybe see if we can get some of this broken down and figured out, shall we? Because I don't know, man. You know, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden might find themselves being undocumented bros somewhere else once Trump get in office as a result of this.
Biden is expected to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. The president's son was convicted on all 3 felony charges in June related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this week.
Now, you see, let's just clarify that. Did Hunter Biden lie under oath? If Hunter Biden lied under oath, give me a thumbs up. If he did not, then give me a thumbs down.
That President Biden is expected to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. The president's son was convicted on all 3 felony charges in June related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this weekend. Molly, fast and furious, what do you make of this new news?
I just heard it. I have to process it. I don't have a take. I'm sorry.
Anyone, Michelle, Miriam, presidential power in action on President Biden pardoning his son.
I mean, look, I don't think that Democrats can uphold all of these norms single-handedly. Hunter Biden was prosecuted for a crime that kind of a normal person who had committed the same crime would almost certainly not be prosecuted for. And Joe.
What? How many? What? How many people do you all know that wouldn't be prosecuted for the stuff that Hunter Biden did? Seriously? Really? Is that what we're doing here? Huh.
Hold all of these norms single-handedly. Hunter Biden was prosecuted for a crime that kind of a normal person who had committed the same crime would almost certainly not be prosecuted for. And Joe Biden bent over backwards not to intervene in order to show, sort of how much of a respecter of norms he was, unlike Donald Trump. But
yeah.
We see kind of what that got him. And I certainly understand why, why he would not want to forfeit the future and life of his son to uphold a set of norms to go up in smoke.
What do you think of this, Miriam? The president.
That's rich. That's very rich. You know what I'm saying? Wow.
Had said that he would not seek a pardon for his son, and here we are using presidential power. Is this now kind of a blank check to the incoming administration to use whatever powers at its disposal for whatever things it wishes to achieve?
Well, as you know, the pardon power is absolute. It is one of those powers that is exclusively given to the president. And I do think, people will be asking Joe Biden what changed, because he did say pretty clearly he was not planning to pardon his son. I will note we are ending a Thanksgiving Day weekend, and I'm sure the family was all together, and I'm sure that caused him to think long and hard. But I will be interested to hear what he has to say about what changed. Michelle is right that the crimes that Hunter Biden was prosecuted for are things that would not ordinarily result in the types of prosecution we saw.
Really? I would say that they usually wouldn't result in the type of pardons that you saw. Who does she know that has gotten prosecuted for this kind of stuff and hasn't done any jail time? Are these people serious? If you guys agree with what these people are saying here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with what these people are saying, throw some clown faces in the chat. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed that like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
What changed? Michelle is right that the crimes that Hunter Biden was prosecuted for are things that would not ordinarily result in the types of prosecution we saw. And I don't think that issuing a pardon opens the floodgates to abuses of other types of power, because a pardon is part of that exclusive authority of the president. We know that the incoming president has already talked about various types of pardons. I'm hoping he will not engage in all of those that he has suggested, particularly with respect to the January 6th attackers, those who attacked the U.S. Capitol. But that all, of course, remains to be seen.
Wow. That's ridiculous. That's kind of wild. Kind of wild. You know what I'm saying? Kind of wild. But anyway, shout out to RY. What's good with it, RY? So let's take a look at what CNN has to say, all right? And then we're going to look at an article from NBC. This is just getting good. It's just getting better and better and better and better. While Biden is at it, as far as handing out these pardons, he may as well hand out the pardons to some of them liberal city mayors. You know what I'm saying? Because liberal city mayors about to be sitting in jail. they about to get cases put on them and sitting in jail right next to Hunter Biden. where Hunter Biden should be. Where
CNN
he's
has
not
learned
going to be
President
now.
Biden will pardon his son Hunter Biden. CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny, I believe, is with us. Jeff, can you hear me?
And Jessica, yes.
Okay, what are you learning?
Look, we are just getting a statement from President Joe Biden. He's saying that today he signed a pardon for my son Hunter, and he goes through the reasoning why. Of course, Hunter is facing a sentencing later this month, but this is really a monumental moment for President Biden. He said several months ago in June, when he was still seeking a re-election, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden, but now we are learning he is. And let's just read through this statement quickly together. He said, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted." So
now, let me ask you guys this question. How was Hunter Biden unfairly selected and prosecuted? I'm pretty sure that he committed the crimes that he, was charged with, and I'm sure that he got a good lawyer, and I'm sure that he definitely was allowed due process. If you guys would agree with all of these things, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree with all of these things, give me a thumbs down. So then, how then is Hunter Biden unfairly, quote unquote, targeted and prosecuted? That doesn't make any sense.
This is a fairly long statement, about 4 or 5 paragraphs from President Biden, but really going through why he is making this decision. He also goes on to say this. He said, "No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out because he is my son, and that is wrong." He goes on to say there's been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of...
Who did it then? Is Joe Biden trying to imply who did it? Because the Biden administration was in charge of the Justice Department. So who are we talking about that did all of this? Who did this? Who did this? Now, shout out to everybody in the room. We got to take a quick detour, right? Because we got to ask this question. How many people were holding XRP Ripple prior to today? If you guys were holding XRP Ripple prior to today, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not, give me a thumbs down.
Unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. So, of course, Jessica, let's take a step back. You obviously covered the Biden campaign along with me, and this is something that Hunter Biden has been dealing with. This was a tax case, a gun case. He went through his trial in Delaware. There was another case in Los Angeles. But this is really the culmination of President Biden really making the decision tonight to sign a pardon for his son Hunter, not just a commutation of a possible sentence, but a pardon, which certainly will be part of President Biden's legacy going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And as I'm reading this along with you, Jeff, I think one part at the very end is particularly striking, which is where he says, "I have followed a simple principle, just tell the American people the truth, they'll be fair-minded. And here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision." It is interesting.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've heard through the grapevine, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand, Hunter Biden has constructed a quote-unquote book, quote-unquote, memoirs of such, quote-unquote, so to speak. And what could be a possibility is that it could be a possibility that there might be some sensitive information in this quote-unquote memoir that might, quote-unquote, expose Joe Biden in an unfavorable way. And I hear that that's one of the reasons why Sleepy Joe might have decided to do what he did. Did anybody else hear anything like that? If you guys heard that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear that, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says XRP, Solana, Shiba, and Doge, etc. are doing good. Facts. The entire crypto market is doing great. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are enjoying them crypto gains, eating good under Trump, you know what I'm saying? Throw them flames in the chat.
To also hear him saying essentially that the justice system was politicized, which is something we've heard from Republicans and Donald Trump as well.
We certainly have, and important to note that President Biden spent really the weekend with his son Hunter and the rest of the family in Nantucket, where they always do for Thanksgiving. And this is a striking, really, ending to this Thanksgiving holiday. And with this statement from the White House we're seeing tonight, it is an official document calling for a full and unconditional pardon for all crimes and punishments facing Robert Hunter Biden. So, but Jessica, the sentence that you read is so poignant. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. We will see, of course, in the coming weeks and months and years, if Americans do understand that. But
yeah, a father would come to this decision if they're a contradictionist. I'll tell you what else a father would do. A father would try to make an effort to not raise a son that moves like this. A father would try to raise a better quality child. You know what I'm saying?
But there is no doubt that this is part of the legacy of President Biden's one term in office. Certainly something he did not want. He hoped to run for re-election. He obviously stepped away from that months ago. But clearly there was pressure inside the family. We were told really in recent weeks that Dr. Jill Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, was very supportive of the president doing something like this. The president was not sure. We clearly have seen now he has come to this decision to pardon his son Hunter.
Yeah. And Jeff, of course, we don't have to remind people how close knit this family is, and that Hunter is his only surviving son, that they are, of course, very, very close. And we've heard many stories about the last several years, how they talk daily and many times a day. Stick with us, Jeff. I want to go to our senior justice correspondent, Evan Perez, who is back with us. Evan, what are you hearing from sources as we're getting this news tonight that President Biden has granted this pardon to his son, Hunter Biden?
Well, certainly, Jessica, this is something that a lot of us were anticipating. We were waiting for it, even despite the fact that the president has said repeatedly that he was not planning to give his son a pardon, would not commute his sentences. Keep in mind that he was due to be sentenced in the Los Angeles case dealing with his tax problems. That was coming in the next couple of weeks, and so all of this is coming to a head. And so we've been watching and seeing what the president of the United States would do. I think, as you and Jeff were just talking about, I think we'll see what the public, the American public, arrives at. But I think it's really remarkable to sort of step back and just read some of what President Biden is saying in here. Keep in mind, he took office in 2021, promising to sort of restore the institutions and try to restore faith in those institutions, including.
Now, if you ask me, this is the final contradiction, right? I mean, like, I think that we can finally say, yeah, this was a complete hypocritical administration. This was a completely 110% completely hypocritical administration.
Including the system of justice, obviously, the Justice Department. Those are among the big priorities with him. That's why he chose Merrick Garland, a former judge, to be Attorney General. And then if you look now where we are, what the President of the United States is saying is that essentially there are political problems with the prosecutions that are being brought by his own Justice Department. And, I think that's going to be a very, very tough pill for people to swallow on this issue, because obviously it is a thing that we keep hearing from Donald Trump. And it's the thing that animates the Trump team over the next 4 years. You're already hearing from them that they want to destroy some of those institutions that they believe are stacked against them. And so to see President Biden sort of go to the same territory is kind of a remarkable turn to watch.
And Evan, just legally help people understand and just.
I don't think anything is remarkable about it, and I don't think there's anything that's a turn about it. This is what Joe Biden has been doing. Joe Biden has literally done this his entire career. I don't understand why people are surprised by this. The fake outrage and the grandstanding is hilarious.
Remind them this full pardon, what does that effectively mean? Again, that covers, as I understand it, all of the charges against him.
Right. As I understand and as I read this, it goes to all of the crimes and that he has now been convicted of. He was convicted of gun-related charges in Delaware over the summer. I was there for that trial, and I also was in Los Angeles for the tax trial. And those things were both just before he was going to trial. Obviously, he ended up having a plea, but this would take care of all of those. Republicans have said, by the way, Jessica, that they want to take another look at Hunter Biden when Donald Trump takes office in January. So we'll see whether they can come up with something new that they can pursue Joe and Hunter Biden over. But for now, what this means is those charges that the special counsel David Weiss has pursued against Hunter Biden, which are gun charges in Delaware, as well as his tax charges in Los Angeles, both of those get wiped away clean.
All right, Evan Perez, stay with us. I want to go now to Isaac Dover, who is somebody who has covered Joe Biden, who has interviewed him. And Isaac, I first want to play a clip that we have of what Biden said about potentially pardoning his son earlier this year, and then we'll come back to you. So let's play that clip.
Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
There it is. And this is just okay. It's just okay. He's completely contradicted himself. He's completely went back on his word. Unapologetically.
Earlier this year, and then we'll come back to you. So let's play that clip.
Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
And so obviously, I think that's when he was running for re-election, and the political environment was very different for him. You, as someone who's covered him for years, walk us through kind of his thought process.
Now, what I want you guys to pay very close attention to is I want everybody to pay attention to how they're just making all of these excuses for this guy. You guys see them? They're making every single excuse. They're covering every angle. They're trying to twist and turn everything any possible way that they can. This is insane. This is ridiculous.
Process, how he thinks about these things. We know per our reporting that this was happening over a lot of it over the weekend, but tell us more about kind of how you think he arrived at this decision.
Yeah, this is something that has been a great pain to Joe Biden for many years, and was
shout out to my man AW1. AW1 says, "Yo, Rob, I can't believe he actually lied." Yeah, he lied. He lied, bro. How many of y'all are with AW1? Y'all can't believe he lied.
Weighing on him as he decided whether to run for re-election, and then was deciding whether to stay in the race earlier in the year. He believes that Hunter Biden was being prosecuted for these crimes because he put the spotlight on the Biden family by running for president. He put the spotlight on his son. He believes that there are things that Hunter has dealt with, and in some ways, some of the issues that he's had over the years, that Biden wasn't there in the same way that he might have been as a father, that some of the pressures that came on him from being in the limelight because of who his father was. And so Joe Biden has struggled with this, but look, there's really no disputing the change in position here from the clip you played to the decision that's been made tonight.
This is insane. All right, it is what it is. I don't think that there's anybody that's surprised by any of this. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said President Biden has a stutter. Yeah, he got a stutter. You know what I'm saying? I heard wrong. I didn't hear everything right. You know what I'm saying? Look at this, man. President Biden pardons his son Hunter Biden. The decision, which was first reported by NBC News, is a reversal for the president, who repeatedly said he would not use his authority to pardon his son or commute his sentence. And it's just okay. It's just okay.
We're coming on the air with breaking news, first reported by NBC News. President Biden has pardoned his son Hunter ahead of the end of his presidential term. That's according to a senior White House official with direct knowledge of the decision. Remember, Hunter Biden was convicted back in June on 3 separate felony charges related to his purchase of a gun in 2018, a time during which prosecutors say he was battling a drug addiction and lied about it on paperwork to get that gun. It was the first time a sitting president's child was convicted of a crime. Hunter Biden also pleaded guilty to federal tax charges in September. In that case, he was charged with 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanors, including tax evasion and filing a false return. NBC News has learned that this pardon is expected to cover both Hunter Biden's conviction and guilty plea. This marks a reversal for President Biden. Both he and White House officials have said repeatedly for a period of months that he would not pardon his son before leaving office. But tonight, the president has done just that. We will have much more coverage coming up on all of our NBC News platforms, including tomorrow morning on Today. For all of us here at NBC News, I'm Hallie Jackson. Thanks for watching.
All right, so there's that. All right, so yeah, we're going to definitely cover that, and we're going to definitely cover this in greater detail on the other channels, because you guys you guys already know this ain't about to be the end of this. Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter Saturday night, a reversal for the president, who repeatedly said, and I don't know why I just did that, he repeatedly said he would not use his executive authority to pardon his son or commute his sentence. So Sleepy Joe going back on his word. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why, as a father and a president, would come to this decision, Biden said in his statement. Yeah, I understand. I understand that it's also not the reasons that you just gave. So yeah, I have a full understanding of why all of this went on, right? And I think most of you all do too. We all have a pretty full understanding of why this went on. Hunter Biden was scheduled to be sentenced on December 12th for his conviction on federal gun charges. He was also set to be sentenced on December 16th in a separate criminal case in which he pleaded guilty to federal tax evasion charges in September. The president issued a full unconditional pardon for any offenses. Look at this. This is what it is right here. The president issued a full unconditional pardon for any offenses Hunter Biden has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st of 2014 through December 1st of 2024, according to the White House statement. Okay. A senior White House official told NBC News, which was the first to report on the pardon decision, that the president decided over the weekend to grant his son a pardon and began to inform his senior aides on Sunday. Now, what made him change his mind on the weekends to do this? Like I said, I heard some rumors. You know what I'm saying? I heard some rumors about some information coming out. Shout out to Sybil. What's good with the Sybil? I heard some information about some rumors coming out about a book that might have gotten written where it might be some information dropped about Hunter Biden that might be kind of incriminating to Joe. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's true or not. It's just what I heard. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to definitely have to follow up on it. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed that like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share your stream to your social media.
Here with breaking news tonight, President Biden has made a decision to pardon his son Hunter ahead of the transfer of power to President-elect Donald Trump, according to a senior White House official with direct knowledge of the decision. He's expected to announce it later on tonight. And this comes months after Hunter Biden was convicted on gun charges back in June. That marked the first time a sitting president's child was convicted of a crime. Hunter Biden also pleaded guilty to federal tax charges in September. White House officials and President Biden himself have said repeatedly that he would not, in fact, pardon Hunter before leaving office. But tonight we learned of the president's decision. Again, a reversal for him and what the White House has said President Biden would do. I want to bring in our White House correspondent, Mike Memoli, who's joining us now on the phone from Washington. Tell us more, Mike. Why did this happen and why the reversal?
Yeah, so for the most part, that video, I believe, is the same video that we watched earlier. All right. That video is the same video that we watched earlier. And I think it just goes on to do a little bit more transcription of what we were talking about there. So that's kind of wild. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of wild. And I believe what I'm going to end up doing is I think that I will clip that section and put it on BLR so that you guys are able to watch that again. All right. Because I think that will still be relevant tomorrow. All right. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this video from ABC where they break down the details of the quote unquote mass deportation plans. All right. The mass deportation plans that everybody seems to just, keep wanting to lie about and say that they're going to go down in a way that they haven't really been discussed. So let's talk about it.
This week on Full Circle Florida, living in America, Trump's immigration crackdown. Will legal immigrants be caught in the crossfire? Farmers fear deportations. We speak to an immigration attorney, her prediction on the impact of Trump's policies and why she says it's not.
Now, here's the question. How is it okay for these farmers to just hire all of these illegal migrants? How many people believe that these employers that take part in hiring these illegal migrants contributing to the problem, if you all feel that these people should get prosecuted as well? If you guys think that they should get prosecuted as well, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, then give me a thumbs down.
This week on Full Circle Florida, living in America, Trump's immigration crackdown. Will legal immigrants be caught in the crossfire? Farmers fear deportations. We speak to an immigration attorney, her prediction on the impact of Trump's policies and why she says it's not all bad news. And Tallahassee reporter for Saunders with why state leaders say mass deportations is not their problem. Trump versus DeSantis. Who wields more power in Florida? Trump raiding Florida's political ranks for his cabinet and endorsing replacements. Where does that leave the governor? Dr. Susan McManus on the power play between Tallahassee and Mar-a-Lago. And the Washington report, the cabinet and the confirmation. Which of Trump's picks face the toughest road ahead? Our Washington correspondent with new insight. Welcome in, everyone, here to Full Circle, Florida. During this Thanksgiving week, as we all gathered with friends and families to express gratitude for the good things in life and the hope for our country, there's also an undercurrent of uncertainty as we transition from two very different leaders with two very contrasting approaches to America's future. Some of the biggest questions the second Trump presidency will bring center on how exactly the mass deportations of illegal immigrants will be carried out. Who exactly will be forced to leave? And will innocent people get swept up in what promises to be a massive undertaking? This week, I spoke with immigration attorney Amel Ursan about what's coming and who should be concerned.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program.
What are you expecting to see in 2025?
Trump's priorities go like this. Number one priority is people that pose a national security threat, spies and things like that. But the second priority is aggravated felons or even people with lesser crimes if they have multiple convicted visas, so they don't have a status now. The fourth priority is people that have engaged in fraud or misrepresentation in their immigration.
So if you're even if you're an illegal migrant, right? Let's just say, for instance, if you're illegal and you're minding your business, you're not really bringing a lot of attention to yourself. You're working your little illegal job. You're not out here mugging people, committing crimes, or just doing massive amounts of fraud. You might still get deported, but you're way down on the priority list. You're not even going to be getting looked at until they get rid of all these other people, or unless they just happen to run into you. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And what's interesting about this is that we've heard this pretty consistently throughout with everybody that talks about it, yet and still there's this mysterious cloud of smoke where a lot of these people are asking, whoa, who might get caught up in it? And people might get swept away in the mass deportation. Like, how are you going to get swept away? How do people not know who's going to get caught up in this thing? This lady laid it out pretty easy to understand and pretty accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Immigration matters, rather. And the fifth priority is people with their deportation orders. So it kind of goes like, the heavy criminals, the multiple convicted people, people that entered illegally, people that overstayed, people that are embroiled in some kind of fraud and misrepresentation with their filing, and then finally people with deportation orders.
I think there is a concern with the aggressiveness on how this is going to be executed. Could legal immigration be impacted by this, the sweeping sort of policy?
Now, here's my question. How do you listen to what that lady just said? How do you listen to what that woman just said and then ask that question? How do you listen to what that woman just said and then ask the question that this guy just asked? How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? How do you do that? I don't know how you do that, but he just did it, though. And real quick, shout out to everybody watching, man. We got 1-to-1 popping off. Shout out to y'all. We got 10 and 10. Make sure y'all throw them 100s in the chat. Let's try to get the likes to 20. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. What's good with you, bro?
Immigrants going to get swept up in this?
I really don't think that's going to happen at all, because basically what's happening is that Trump is trying to put things in place where he focuses on the illegal immigrants, focuses on people that have no status.
Shout out to you, bro. I'm trying to tell you, me and Carlton, we had already said it earlier in the stream. We finna start the snitch network, bro. We about to get paid. We're snitching on everybody. We snitching on all the Pookies. We snitching on all the Ray Rays. We snitching on all the undocumented bros. We finna snitch on all these people backs and get all that money and buy crypto with it before Trump get in office, so we could get paid and disappear. You know what I'm saying? We straight up snitching over here. You know what I'm saying? Our snitch network might compete with Star. You know what I'm saying? We might end up having beef with the Star Report, because we gonna be making so much bank off of snitching over people over here. He's gonna be like, who is them light-skinned bougie Negroes over there, them troll babies over there with BLR trying to cut in on my snitch, and troll babies go report their account. You know what I'm saying? He might start hating like an old light-skinned ninja. You know what I'm saying? Call it iced out. Yeah, we're going to call it iced out, bro. We're going to call it iced out for sure. You know what I'm saying? Iced out snitch network over here. Facts, you know? Get snitch or die trying. You know what I'm saying?
You have to remember something. About 11 million people have crossed the border in the last 4 years. And what people don't know is that more than 50% of them have applied for asylum. When you apply for asylum, you're under a protected status where you cannot be deported until a deportation order is signed by a judge. Right now, the processing time for that is about 8 years. So anyone that has entered the country and tried to obtain a work authorization, which usually is through asylum, they are protected.
Does this put a crimp on legal migrants trying to go through the legal process of entering the United States? Will there be such a focus on deporting millions of people that people who are trying to actually enter the country legally, will that process be slower for them, or will it be interrupted, do you think?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's something that I worry about as a practicing attorney. Where are the resources going to go to? And my biggest worry is that if Department of Homeland Security, it has three branches underneath it: ICE, which is the police of immigration; USCIS, which is the group that legalizes people, the processing; and the third is Border Patrol, CBP. So if all the resources are going to go to ICE and to close the border, I worry that USCIS may not have as many funds, because the processing times for people that are trying to be legal right now is outrageous. I actually have a client who is an American citizen who has stage 4 cancer. He has 6 months to live. And I'm trying to bring his wife, who's a Chinese national, and I'm trying to do some kind of a pardon. It's a 1.5-year processing time. I cannot have this family join for ultimately his last days of his life, because USCIS is so overburdened with other things. So I do worry that people that are trying to be legal can have longer delays, and the process times can be longer.
It's about to get a lot more complicated. Bottom line, what are you telling your clients and the families that come to see you for help right now?
If you have an aggravated felony or even multiple lesser charges.
I'm going to tell you exactly what she's telling them people. She's telling them with the Trump administration and the crackdown on immigration is going to require us to have more resources in order to be able to accurately and efficiently process these claims. So we're going to have to charge between 25 and 50% more per trial hour. I guarantee you she's telling them something along that line. I ain't mad at it. Go ahead and get your money. You know what I'm saying?
Like DUIs and things of that sort, you have reason to worry. And the other takeaway is that he's actually creating some merit-based immigration, which is actually very encouraging. I'm talking about people that want to open up businesses, small businesses, to create jobs for Americans. So he seems to want to open the doors for people that are highly talented, highly educated, and people that are just sort of talented in their fields. But he's going hard on people that have violated the laws.
Amel Ursan, thank you for your insight.
Thank
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next on Full Circle Floor.
So that's interesting, right? I mean, again, the lawyer didn't seem too upset about it, so she seemed to portray it in a way where it wasn't really MSNBC meltdown worthy, right? So how long is this thing gonna take? How long is this alleged quote-unquote mass deportation operation going to take? We're going to find out.
Experts speculating it may take decades. Democratic strategist and civil litigator Michelle Thomas and Republican strategist and president of Winning Republican Strategies, Aaron Evans, are with me right now. Thank you both for being here. President Trump promising the largest deportation this nation has ever seen, but there are plenty of skeptics. In fact, Axios is reporting the criminals that President Trump wants to deport would number less than 0.5%, or 8,400 cases currently in immigration courts out of the millions of people in this country illegally. Aaron, do you believe it will be a challenge to track down violent immigrant criminals?
Yeah, look, I think that ultimately,
I think that it's a challenge to hunt down violent criminal migrants when they're being protected by the resources of the states that they're in. When they're not protected by the resources of the states that they're in, I don't think that this would be a big problem. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
much of local law enforcement will cooperate with the Trump administration on this. And I think that what we'll see is, state by state, we'll see much more cooperation than obviously we've got a small handful of mayors saying that they want to have sanctuary cities and they're not going to work with the Trump administration. But, and the other thing that we have to recognize with these statistics is, ultimately it's what they are tracking and what they are reporting on. And so, and the other thing that I would like to remind people of is, regardless of the percentage that we're talking about here, every crime that is committed by someone who should not be here to begin with, that's a crime that we wouldn't have if we actually had secure borders. And so, if you're the victim of some of these crimes, if you're the person that has been robbed, raped, assaulted, then obviously you find out that, look, this is a crime from someone that would not have even been here had we actually been a nation of laws. That's frustrating to the American people, and that's what President Trump is going to fix.
Michelle, Axios also reporting that the numbers they're discussing, that 0.5%, doesn't include about 400,000 undocumented convicts currently serving time in U.S. prisons and jails, and they wouldn't be deported without serving their sentences. Who do you believe will be sent back first?
Well, we've certainly heard that the administration is targeting these alleged criminals. I think part of the problem is that, one, the legal system dealing with immigration is already quite burdened.
Every time I see this and every time I watch this, it's just always bizarre to me because I've never seen anybody go hard in the paint like this. I've never seen anybody go hard in the paint like this to try to, quote unquote, I guess what would you say, like, cape for the criminals? I've never seen anything like it. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
As it is, I believe there's about 3.7 million cases of backlogged cases in the immigration system. So then we're talking about whether we are going to abridge or compromise the due process rights of the persons who are here in this country. So I think there's a lot of logistical issues. We can talk about the cost of this targeting and mass deportation. We're looking at it costing possibly billions of dollars, not to mention the effect on certain industries.
Okay, now, again, the reason why it's going to cost billions of dollars is because they let this problem get wildly out of control. Let me ask you guys this. Over the amount of time that this has been a thing, how much has this cost people? How much has this cost people? This is like this. They're talking about, quote unquote, billions of dollars. This particular situation in itself has already cost the city of Chicago, at the very least, $1 billion, right?
The sectors of the workforce that rely on some of these undocumented workers. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of logistical issues here and legal issues that the administration has to overcome in order to.
Okay, well, here's the thing, right? You should, no business should build up a reliance on an illegal workforce. That's not the smartest. It's not the best. It's not the most value-added business strategy. That is not an excuse. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask me, again, those businesses are part of the reason why things are the way that they are, and they should be prosecuted and fined as well. They're not out of the jungle.
Focus on its target of deporting these alleged criminals.
Yeah, and a lot of people would point to the costs that are already being incurred in the billions for cities like New York and Chicago as a result of that burden you're talking about. Aaron, Laken Riley's murder was noted in that Axios article as an individualized case that Mr. Trump and conservatives elevated to justify mass deportations. Axios would likely not have reported any number of police-involved civilian deaths as individualized, elevated cases meant to justify police reform. What are your thoughts about using these cases and saying these are rare instances and that perhaps we should not use them as evidence?
Are they rare? Like, are they really rare, though? If they're so rare, why are there so many of them? I wouldn't go as far as to say that these are rare.
That America's crime is up in part due to illegal entry?
Look, I think ultimately we have a lot of spin happening right now, from those who are resisting kind of this direction that, frankly, the majority of American people said they approve of when they elected President Trump this November. But also, more importantly to note is every single, and this is something I think we forget a lot, every single person who is here illegally has already committed a crime to be here. We're by
exactly. He's the first person, I think, besides us, who has actually said that, which is wild, right? He's the first person, if I'm not mistaken, besides us, who's actually said that. Like, yeah, That's the common sense part. Like, if you've done this and you got here illegally, your first action in the country is committing a crime. That doesn't go very far as to say, you know, how you should be trusted or not. You know what I mean?
Is every single, this is something I think we forget a lot, every single person who is here illegally has already committed a crime to be here. We're by definition, if you're here illegally, you've committed a crime. Your first introduction to the United States was us saying, hey, you know, you didn't follow the rules, you took a shortcut, you're here illegally, but that law didn't matter. And so, and again, I want to go back to, you know, I think when we're talking about these different crimes, if you are the victim or you are the family of those victims, that case mattered to them. And, you know, and regardless, we'll never solve all crimes, but ultimately, if we can save one life, or we can save one young lady from being raped, or we can save, you know, one robbery, any of those things, if you are the victim, that case matters. And that's statistic.
Right. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Right. Deformed Pretty Boy said, that's like me breaking into your house and just sitting down and not touching anything, so I shouldn't get kicked out. Right. Or I just decided to break into your car. I took the crowbar out. Who's holding the crowbar? Right. Busted the window and just decided to sit in it and be like, oh, this feels good. But I didn't drive it off anywhere and I didn't take nothing out of it. You know what I'm saying? But I should be given an opportunity to drive because the struggle of walking is just so ridiculous. It caused me to do that. Like, what kind of logic is that? It's like, you can't make this up, man. And this is what I'm saying about the United States got this existential problem of, is the population smarter than a fifth grader? I don't know. I can't say with 100% certainty yes or no. You know what I'm saying?
Statistic matters. And so I think for Axios, different ones to downplay the urgency and the importance of just saving one life or saving two lives.
Thanks so much for watching.
Right,
Go to
there's
joinnn.com.
All right, there's that. All right, this is the explanations for this stuff is just so wild, man. Like, it's so crazy. So we got your boy Tom Homan, all right, and Tom Homan is going to explain to us. All right, he's gonna break it down for us. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give us some sage knowledge. Actually, we ain't gonna hit your boy Tom Homan up yet. We're gonna hit up the Reverend. We're gonna hit up a Reverend. We're gonna hit up a Chicago Reverend, because everybody loves the Chicago Reverends. So we're gonna hit one of them up. It's a Fox News Chicago Reverend. Amen. Right? You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna see exactly what this Chicago Reverend has to say about this undocumented situation, all right? Because it's undocumented up there in Chicago. They up there trying to duck ICE and everything else. So let's see what's popping.
Now this, a migrant shelter in Chicago's Rogers Park neighborhood just closed down over the weekend. Project Hood CEO Corey Brooks joins me now. And Pastor, you are in Chicago. Are you still seeing a surge of migrants there?
Absolutely. We're one of those cities that you just talked about, calling ourselves a sanctuary city, which means that a lot of illegal immigrants have been allowed to come into the city. It's unfortunate that now they're being added to an overwhelming system that has already seen an influx of individuals in our city. We're already overwhelmed with budget crises. We have a mayor in our city who's unlike any other, who's voted 50-0 for some of his legislation that did not get passed. And
hey, I would agree with this dude. Brandon Johnson is definitely not like any other. He is definitely not like any other. He is definitely his own monster.
We've never had this type of situation in Chicago that we're experiencing now. Now that winter is coming up on us and this shelter has been closed, I don't know what these individuals are going to do. I do know that organizations like ours are going to continue to be burdened by the fact that we're going to have to pick up the slack and take care of these individuals, because the city surely isn't being a sanctuary city.
You have a new op-ed out, and you say that people are rooting for you to fail. Why is that? What's the problem?
Yes, we're building a 90,000 square foot leadership and economic opportunity center that is going to transform our block. That's been called O Block. It's called O Block because it's named after a young man named O.D. Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs picked up the O in his name and started calling it O Block. We decided to call it Opportunity Block and transform it and change it. And there are individuals who are rooting against me, specifically political officials. They want me to keep the status quo. They want me to keep my mouth shut. They don't want me to say anything. They would just, those who call themselves allies of the Black community, but they want us to keep the same song and dance.
Now, who is he? I think somebody might have threw a rock at the monolith. I think he might have threw some pebbles at the lith. Hashtag the lith. He going in on the lith. You know, the lith be sending death threats to people. They ain't playing out here. You know what I'm saying? So he got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Be careful. What do they say? When they want protection, these reverends and religious people put the blood of Christ on them to protect them. Brother, I hope you got that paintbrush and them painted yourself. You know what I'm saying? Wipe me down like the franchise boys with that blood of Jesus sitting up here talking this. You know what I'm saying? Because that monolith, ooh, they gonna come down on you like somebody left the Ark of the Covenant open.
Want me to say anything. They would just, those who call themselves allies of the Black community, but they want us to keep the same song and dance. They want us to keep race baiting. They want us to keep the same status quo. They want us to keep that same machine in place. But from my point of view, I'm taking the point that cannot be done if we're going to transform this city, and especially if we're going to transform the neighborhood that I'm in, where Project Hood serves.
Well, we wish you the very best, Corey, and thank you for joining us today, and happy Thanksgiving to you, sir.
Yeah, you gotta dip it in the vat or wipe me down. Wipe me down. Better wipe himself down, you know what I'm saying? Or else it might be all bad. You know what I'm saying? Them Lyft boys don't be playing. You know what I'm saying? We got Lyft boys, them Lyft drivers. They not playing out there, man. They're gonna catch homeboy on O Block and it's gonna be all bad. We ain't never gonna be able to enjoy another news article with him ever again, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, they got all kind of surveillance and everything. The Lith ain't an army, they a navy. You know what I'm saying? The Lith ain't an army, they a navy. You try to play a hate them, it ain't gravy. You know what I'm saying?
For the Texas-Mexico border with Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week, served Thanksgiving meals there to troops. That's a nice thing to do. You said the federal government would take up Texas's offer of land for the mass deportation operation. What's that plan going to look like? How many people? How long would they be held for?
Look, I'm still working on the plan, but the acres they gave us, we'll use it for, incoming processing and departure location. So I haven't got the plan fully baked yet, but that offer is great. It's going to save the taxpayers a lot of money from acquiring land separate from this. So we'll use that for distribution. We'll use that for logistics. So the plan's still being worked, but I appreciate Governor Abbott's willingness to help us out with that land because, again, it saves the taxpayers a lot of money by doing that.
Yeah, you've talked tough on illegal immigration. You've got the resume to back it up. Will the deportations be at the scale that Trump has expressed, what he promised along the campaign trail, and will military members be used to carry him out?
Well, look, there's a lot of pushback I hear from mass deportation. People saying, well, that's radical, it's racist, it's un-American. It's just ridiculous. At the end of a historic illegal immigration where millions of people have entered this country illegally, and based on immigration court data over the last nearly 9 out of 10 of these people will end up with an order of removal because they simply don't qualify for asylum. What they did is commit asylum fraud. So when you have millions of people coming across the border, 9 out of 10 will get an order of removal from an immigration judge. Of course, there has to be a historic deportation operation, their option. If the court order doesn't mean anything, if the judge order doesn't mean anything, then what are we doing? You might as well just shut down immigration court. You might as well just forget about the process or just take the boat off the border because there's no consequences. If you want to claim asylum, if you want to see a judge, we'll make that possible. But at the end of that, if you order removed, that's what has to happen. Because if it doesn't happen, we're sending a message to the entire world. You can cross the border illegally, which is a crime. You can be released in the United States, either go to court or not show up in court and get an order removal, and we're not going to remove. The world's going to come to this country.
Right. Well, you say you're not just going to turn off the.
Well, and that's what it's looking like, right? If we look at the, different groups of migrants and people who are at the southern border, if we look at, as many people are attempting to come through the southern border, as many people who have come through the southern border multiple times, as we look at that, right? As we look at that, what he's describing is exactly what we're seeing. It's exactly what we're seeing.
That turn off the fire hose, but carry out these deportations for the criminals first. But if you're an illegal immigrant here, that's breaking the law to begin with. So does that put everybody in the same category, or could it?
I wouldn't say same category. The president's been very clear, so have I, that right out of the gate, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats, and we got plenty of them. Because if you look at the stats, you compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration, the removal of criminal aliens has decreased 74%. And we know a lot of criminals have come across this border in the last 4 years. So we got a big block of criminal aliens we got to locate and remove from the country. And that's why I've been pushing back on the sanctuary cities, and these mayors and governors are speaking out against it. I cannot believe as an elected mayor or elected governor, you do not want public safety threats out of your community. Well, if you don't, just get out of the way, because ICE will do it. But it'd be a nonpartisan issue to remove public safety threats out of the community. But getting back to your point, if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. You enter the country illegally, which is a crime. You've been ordered removed by a judge. You got a problem.
When you say get out of the way, ICE will take care of it for you. So we've got the Denver mayor, Mike Johnson, saying they're prepared for the worst. Would it come to you guys getting them out of the way? When you say that, what does that mean?
Alien in their home, harboring an illegal alien in their place of employment. I got no problem, prosecuting others who want to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. And I'm hoping they don't do that. I'm hoping a lot of this is just rhetoric. Again, when it comes right down to, they don't want ICE in their neighborhoods. But understand this, what their actions are going to result in exactly that. If they would let me in their jails, the sanctuary city jails, we're not even given access. Let me in your jail so I can arrest the bad guy, the guy you already locked in a jail cell. That means less officers in your neighborhood. Because if you don't let me in your jail and you release this guy, the bad guy, we're going to go into the neighborhood with a whole team of people, and we're probably going to find others that weren't even on our radar, and they're going to go too. So more agents in the jail means less agents in your neighborhood. So fighting against ICE, not letting you jail, it's going to give you the exact same results you don't want. So I think they sit at the table and work with us on this.
Thanks for watching. Good.
Yeah, and again, I really don't see the opposition to working with this. I don't see the opposition to working with this. I don't see the crash out justification. I mean, these people are seriously talking about crashing out. You go into jail, and it's just wild to me. Like, man, I've never really seen anything like this before. It's just bizarre. It's just kind of bizarre. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. All right. So as we continue, right? Give me 1 second. Hold on real quick. So I think this is good, right? Because throughout all of this, we really actually have a good, sound understanding of all of this stuff and how all of this is going to work, right? And so what's good about it is that for the most part, the way that we've been discussing it, we have all of the facts laid out. We have all of the information laid out. We're not speculating on anything, right? So any type of speculatory statement, we have everything that's necessary to be able to find it and address it, right? It's not really anything left to guesswork over here. Okay.
And meanwhile, Trump's pick for border czar is planning to hit the ground running. Tom Homan joining News Nation today to talk about mass deportations to come. He had a warning for sanctuary cities and also said deportations will target criminals first. But if you are in the country illegally, you are not off the table, in his words. Today marking 50 days until Donald Trump's inauguration, and Trump said he plans to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to remove immigrants in the country illegally. Homan will spearhead the unprecedented effort. And he was previously Trump's acting director of ICE in 2017 and 2018. He helped usher in
look,
the
shout out to RY, right? RY says, I'm wondering how Karen Bass is going to respond. Los Angeles has been known to protect migrants. I don't know if you caught it. We talked about it on Undocumented. LA just officially became a sanctuary city. Officially. I think they've always been, operating like one, but they just officially, took that designation, right? Now you have to ask yourself the question, who voted for Karen Bass? Who put Karen Bass in the chat? Or who put Karen Bass in the chat? Right. She better not be in the chat. Who put Karen Bass in office? Now, to those people who live in that area and voted for Karen Bass, right? Karen Bass is friends with a racist, anti-black Democrat politician named Nuri Martinez, who was upset when she found out that particular individuals were quote unquote with the blacks. You guys, if you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So my question is, if you're a black female politician and your BFF is an anti-black Latina who her constituents get upset when they find out that any particular individual is with the blacks, my question is, why did the blacks vote for her?
Separation policy at that time. News Nation's Alina Shirazi live in D.C. Alina, what is Homan saying today about these plans for mass deportation?
Natasha, good evening. We know the president-elect Trump is promising to crack down on the ongoing border crisis, including mass deportations after taking office. And we know his newly appointed border czar, Tom Homan, as you mentioned, gives new insights into how exactly this process is going to play out.
A secure border save lives, and we can't secure the border if we don't run this deportation operation. We got to send a message to the whole world. You can come to the greatest nation on earth, but you got to do it legally.
President-elect Trump's newly appointed border czar, Tom Homan, sitting down with News Nation.
Yeah, she sure did. There was 3 of them. It wasn't just Nuri Martinez. Facts. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Yeah, she sure did. If you guys remember this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't remember this, give me a thumbs down. And the Democrats, the mainstream media, they all helped to downplay it. Al Sharpton, none of them people. Joy Reid, she surely didn't go on a rant about that. I didn't see her turn her head. You know what I'm saying? Her hair didn't change colors, and none of those creases got any deeper in her neck when she had a discussion about any of this. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. So now you got to ask yourself the question, why did the Lith vote for Karen Bass? Why does the Lith support Karen Bass? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Listen, I'm gonna give people a word of advice. You know how people vote because of policies? Or you know how people move out of places because of policies? I would look at where people live at, and I would look at the voters in your area. And if your voters around you are monolithians, get away from them. If you guys would agree, one thing that you should do is Lith flight and get away from the Lith. Throw the monolith emoji in the chat. We got to get away from these monolithians.
Laying out how he plans to carry out Trump's plans for the largest mass deportations in American history.
When you have millions of people come across the border, 9 out of 10 will get an order of removal from an immigration judge. Of course, there has to be a historic deportation operation because we have another option.
Interesting. That's interesting. Deformed Pretty Boy says black people didn't vote for her because LA, 40% Hispanic and illegals are able to vote in Cali. How many people were aware of that? If you guys knew that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know that, then give me a thumbs down. Now people should pay attention, right? And shout out to the Deformed Pretty Boy and Win Loser Rug and DeAndre and all the people that come, you know what I'm saying, from the California, you know what I'm saying, from California, you know what I'm saying, who be rocking with us in the chat, giving us the game about what go on out there on the West Coast, right? They've been trying to warn people out there on the West Coast for years that they're going to West Coastize the entire United States. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's going to start out looking like Friday 1 with Smokey and Chris Tucker. And next thing you know, you're going to have Joker and Hector on there. And then next thing you know, Friday 3 is going to be all Joker and Hector. And it's going to be like Los Dios de Lunes instead of being called Friday. You better wake up. You know what I'm saying? It's not the first of the month anymore. You know what I'm saying?
If the court order doesn't mean anything, if the judge order doesn't mean anything.
I ain't trying to be funny, man, but you got a lot of them folks out there on the West Coast. They be trying to claim Busy Bone is Mexican. They be trying to claim Busy Bone is Mexican, you know what I'm saying? You know, because Bone Thugs, you know, they came up with Eazy-E and they, you know what I'm saying, got a lot of roots and, you know what I'm saying, you know, the West Coast put them on and all that. But yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? I've seen little shorts and TikTok talking about, yeah, you know, the West Coast just loves Busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of our great Mexicans. Like, first of all, Busy Bone's not from the West Coast, and he's not a chulo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where you're getting that from. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's from Cleveland. And even the quote-unquote Latino people that we have in Cleveland, the majority of them are not Mexican. And he's not mixed with Latino either. He's black and white. You know what I'm saying? So there's that.
Anything, then what are we doing? You might as well just shut down immigration court. You might as well just forget about due process. You might as well just take the border off the border because there's no consequences. If you order removed, that's what has to happen.
Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Bro, it always be the race simping females. It's the race simping females. It's always some big Marianella, you know what I'm saying, or some big, some Mara Largo, you know what I'm saying, Marisol Largo, you know what I'm saying, that's shaped like a freaking pear. That's like, oh, my king Busy has a corona on his head. He's such a king. Like, man, shut your goofy self up. You know what I'm saying? You didn't come up with the song Lowriders, and Bone Thugs and Harmony have nothing to do with La Raza or Tu Raza, I should say. Like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Good Lord have mercy, man.
The Trump administration says it will first focus on removing criminal illegal immigrants and national security threats. The president-elect signaled he would declare a national emergency and use the military to help carry out these deportations and secure the border.
Absolutely not. But you know what? Busy Bone, one of them crazy people that's smart though. Like he might like be on some wild live wire stuff, but busy at when it's time to know what time it is. Busy to know what time it is. He be like, nah, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man. I'm from the land, man. We don't do it like that. Sounded like Cat Williams.
Holman didn't really explain how the military could be used to enforce immigration policy, but is vowing to crack down.
The president's been very clear, so have I, that right out of the gate, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats, and we got plenty of them. If you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. You enter the country illegally, which is a crime. You've been ordered removed by a judge. You got a problem.
See? Deformed Pretty Boy said George Lopez tried to say Mariah and Prince was Mexican. Now, I guarantee you, if you needed some help and you went up to somewhere and told somebody that you was Mexican, they'd be wanting to see all kind of information and all kind of documents, knowing they ain't got no documents of their own, right? But if you're rich and they like you and all this kind of stuff, it's this. Everybody does this stuff, man. It's the same, the Pan-Africanization. You know what I'm saying? How like Umar Johnson to go to the Swiss Alps and, you know what I'm saying, find some, some voluptuous blonde woman with, blue eyes and blonde hair, and he'll have to Pan-Africanize it because of all of his years of rhetoric. It just can't happen to be like, damn, this white girl bolted. You know what I'm saying? Nope, can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Because you done messed up your reputation. So now you got to say, well, see, family, what had happened was she was demelanized because she had came from Europe and she had came from the ice, from the cold ice of Siberia, you understand? But see, we all come from Africa, you know what I'm saying? So then you got to do this Pan-Africanizing, right? And they do the same thing, you know what I'm saying? They do the La Raza-izing. So, they so racist that they can't like anybody, and anybody that they do like, they have to justify the like by saying, well, this person is part of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, going somewhere with that. Going somewhere with that. You know what I'm saying? Going somewhere with that. I don't really like Morenos, right? Because Morenos and Miates and the Negros and all of the little silly illiterate names that they call black people, because you know what I'm saying, they have issues speaking the language of the country that they're in, right? But if they do find one that they like, they do find one of us that they like, they'll try to they'll try to Latinize us, you know what I'm saying, for the rest of their community to improve the acceptance. And it's like, nah, I don't need that, bro. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You're not making me better by adding me to your culture. I'm the best me that I am because I'm who I am, not because you trying to make a false association to validate your own biases. I don't care about your biases. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody on that. You know what I'm saying?
But sanctuary cities across the country are vowing to fight back and block mass deportations, with mayors like Mike Johnston from Denver saying they're prepared for the worst and will defend their communities. Something Holman is not taking
and look,
lightly.
check this out.
I cannot
believe. And y'all said that. Shout out to RY and Deformed Pretty Boy. Them people will sit there and be like, yeah, El DeBarge is Latino. Now there might be Latinos that look like El DeBarge, right? And those is the very Latinos that them racists like Nuri Martinez, if they were all in a Latino country, those would be the people getting discriminated against first, because Latino people are not all unified by language. That's something that happens when they come to the United States. But when they're in their respective countries, them Latinos that look like them ones that look like them take all the resources and discriminate against them. That getting on coldness don't happen until they get here and they have us that they could be directed against by the population and the mainstream media. So let's not get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? That curly hair, straight hair unity, that don't happen until the United States. You know what I'm saying? They be having whole beefs within their own families about that kind of stuff, man. I was watching this video with this Latino girl, and she was talking about how I guess she was one of the native Mexicans. So her family, like her and her brother and all them, was dark skinned, but they uncle had married like a redhead Mexican, like a ginger Mexican, a rojo, right? And the kids came out, you know, very light-skinned, fair-skinned, white, you know what I'm saying? And the whole family treated the native Mexican-looking kids like crap, you know what I'm saying? And they treated the gingers, you know, nice, better than everybody. You know what I mean? And hey, that be going on down there in the homeland, but then when they come to the United States, you know what I'm saying, they got to find some, you know what I'm saying, they got to find some Black Americans that they can make the problem so they can fit in with everybody else, because that's the culture. That's the American culture. We can't talk about that aspect of the culture, because if we talk about that aspect of the culture, then the hustle gets exposed. You know what I'm saying? Then the hustle gets exposed. And trust me, that hustle feeding the people on both sides. That hustle is feeding the people like Umar Johnson and Al Sharpton, who are literally exactly the same, by the way. You know what I'm saying? And the extreme people on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And the extreme people on the other side.
As an elected mayor or elected governor, you do not want public safety threats out of your community. Well, if you don't, just get out of the way, because ICE will do it for you. If you don't let me in your jail and you release this guy, the bad guy, we're going to go into the neighborhood and find him with a whole team of people, and we're probably going to find others that weren't even on our radar, and they're going to go too. I've given warning. Do not impede us. Do not knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE authorities, because that's a crime, and we'll prosecute those crimes.
And we know that
Tom Homan said he about to put cases. Shout out to Carlton. Tom Homan said, I'm going to put a case on you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. George Lopez said that. George Lopez actually said that. George Lopez, in one of his comedy specials, he said he was dating a Black woman, right? Now, because George Lopez is a dark-skinned Mexican, he was dating a Black woman, and the Black woman that he was dating is darker than his grandmother. But when he brought the Black woman home, his whole family and his grandmother had a problem with him bringing home the Black woman. These people sick, man. They sick. You know what I'm saying?
Trump has also most recently picked Chad Chronister, a Florida sheriff, to serve as a new DEA administrator, and he's tasked him with fulfilling his other campaign promise to cut back on the flow of illegal drugs into the country.
All right, so there's that. All right. So now, next, and shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed that like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Next, we're going to talk about this quote-unquote serious concern, all right? Now, MSNBC and, you know, all those people over there, they are making the case that many Americans are against mass deportation, right? I don't know where they're getting this information from. I don't know how they're making this case, because if you ask me, the election pretty much said everything that needed to be said. But this news clip right here lays out the fact that the majority of Americans, quote unquote, support this idea of mass deportation. Now, I want to ask you guys, shout out to everybody that's in here, if you guys support how this mass deportation has been described and put out, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not support this and you think that this is bad, this is human rights violations, this is horrible, how can anybody do this, then give me a thumbs down.
Joining us to discuss policies we can expect under a second Trump term is New York Post swing state reporter Cameron Arcon. Cameron, thanks so much for joining me today on the U.S. Report.
Now, this is what's fascinating about this. This is what I don't understand, and follow me when I say this, right? They believe in race purity, all right? So what does that even mean, right? Because race is not a genetic construct, right? Race is a social construct, right? So how can you have, first and foremost, what does purity on a genetic on a social construct look like, right? However, let's actually talk about genes, right? Let's talk about gene purity with 0 mutations in the DNA, in the codons, and in the genes, right? So when it comes to La Raza, the closer you are to Spanish, the more white you are, the more pure you are. The more pure you are of what exactly? The more pure Homo sapien you are exactly? Because I don't think that that's genetically accurate. And I think that that La Raza science would actually substantiate that. So when they talk in terms of purity, in terms of pure what? Pure Homo sapien? I hope that's not what the implication is for, because that's going to bring forth an interesting conversation that people aren't going to like. Which is why, you know, people shouldn't go down those particular rabbit holes. They're going to not like that conversation the same way they claim that we don't like crime and high school graduation conversations. But we go through those conversations every day, and we hear those conversations every time we turn on, you know, the TV. But we don't hear about things like Rh negative blood and gene mutations every day. And ironically, these particular anomalies, right, are what are considered quote unquote marks of beauty, which is fascinating because, you know, when you're typing, you never really consider a typo the height of the text, but you know, it is what it is, right? But that's how that's where we're at in 2024. Now, me personally, you know, hey, don't matter to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to the human race, man. The human race is a very diverse organism, right? But certain humans got certain problems, and you know, sometimes things just got to be laid out on the table, right? I don't understand this white idea of race purity. I don't understand it. First of all, we got to dive down the race rabbit hole. Second of all, if we're gonna clean up the terminology and talk about it in terms of genes and codons and different things like that, the sequencing of them, does the sequencing of all of them create Homo sapien DNA and normal scripted proteins? I think we're looking at a picture right now where you could look at some DNA and it would say there are certain genetic codes that are put together in a unorthodox way that would create what we're looking at right here. And if they were not in an unorthodox formation, they would create things that look different. So when we talk about this idea of quote unquote purity, what is pure? What is the standard of pure that we're basing this on? We're definitely not basing it on pure quote unquote Homo sapien. That's definitely not the standard. So that's not what La Raza means. That's not what, you know, WS means. That's not what anything means. It definitely means something else. It cannot possibly mean Homo sapien, right? So, you know, I'm just curious as to what it means, right? Am I incorrect? If I'm incorrect, or if I'm wrong, or if I'm being woke or racist or whatever, give me a thumbs up. Shame on me. YouTube manual reviewer, no offense, right? If I'm not, then give me a thumbs down. Because again, I don't have these ideas of quote unquote race purity. These are not my ideas. These are ideas that people have rode on and built an entire empire off of, and other people have also scammed less fortunate people off of these identities. These ideas exist on both sides, and on both sides are used to scam the world. You know what I'm saying? These white ideas of race purity, you know what I'm saying, are used to create worldwide empires. Other ideas of race purity are used to nickel and dime, you know what I'm saying, low information people. So, you know, none of these are my ideas, but if we're going to carry out and follow through on the logic with them all the way, I think we got to follow the logic all the way out the end of the rabbit hole, right? You know? Yeah. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said, because La Raza ideology was started by a one of them folks, sympathizer and promoter, in line with Margaret Sanger. Facts specific to South America, right? Because that's where they all went. Operation Paperclip. United States helped them get there. United States helped them get there. You know what I'm saying? United States been one of the most woke countries. The woke policies of slavery, right? The woke policies of Jim Crow. The United States in the race-based obsession, you know what I'm saying, and not giving people jobs and opportunities on merit. The United States is one of the biggest contradictions in the entire known universe. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I know they don't. Right. Shout out to the deformed pretty boy. The only way that they'll ever know, you know what I'm saying, is if they sit with their Viking buddies, you know what I'm saying, in prison, and their Viking buddies in prison that happen to, you know, frequent the law library will tell them about it. Other than that, they're just stupid and just go around doing their bidding because they're dumb and they want to beat them people. You know what I'm saying? That's all. You know what I'm saying? Let me get with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, bro, you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? But hey, go for what you know, man. Go for what you know. You know what I'm saying? Dress like Snoop Dogg and hang out with Ed Norton from American History X, you weirdo. You criminal degenerate. You know what I'm saying? Weirdo. Right? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Last time I checked, a machete didn't make you a man. You know what I'm saying? But that's what a lot of them folks think. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Some surprises, some not so surprises, but I want to talk about Donald Trump's border czar nominee, Tom Homan, who has issued a stark warning to anyone who plans to block immigration authorities from carrying out plans to deport, heaven forfend, illegal aliens. Have a listen.
It's a shame we have other governors and other mayors who are right out of the gate. I said they're going to push back on President Trump and what we're trying to do, especially for interior enforcement. Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation because we just finished a mass illegal immigration.
You already said, Carlton, he was talking to you. He said, listen here, Carlton, there is going to be a mass deportation.
It's a shame we have other governors and other mayors who are right out of the gate. I said they're going to push back on President Trump and what we're trying to do, especially for interior enforcement. Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation because we just finished a mass illegal immigration crisis on the border.
Tell me about the reaction to this here, because everywhere I look, everybody on the left seems to be losing their mind, even though, you know, when Barack Obama was president, I think he deported something like 1.5 million people who didn't deserve to be in the country.
Yeah, I mean, deportations are not a new concept, and for some reason there seems to be a reaction right now that these are a new concept. There were millions of people deported under the Bush administration, millions deported under the Obama administration. So what we're seeing right now is once again another push to have people removed from the country, and they've already said that they're going to likely be starting.
That's the womanhood celebration, bro. They got the quinceañera. That's one of the reasons why these migrant crimes are involving. Listen, every migrant, most of these, that Lake and Riley and all that, those is quince. They should just call it quinceañera crime. Matter of fact, that's what we finna start calling it, man. Anytime any of these migrants do anything to, a minor, we gonna call it a quinceañera crime. Yo, they committed another quinceañera crime, man. They committed another quinceañera crime over there. You know what I'm saying?
And with people who have committed more serious crimes. And I think, we're seeing these questions and these speculation. Oh, well,
that's what we're going to start calling them, too.
Family.
That's what we should start calling them. Anytime we see one of them people, that's a quince. Quince. You know what I'm saying? That's a quince. Ninja, you a quince. You like saying quince? Ninja, you a quince. You know what I'm saying?
And these different ideas, and we're hearing these arguments from lawmakers, particularly on the Democratic side. And I think right now we're in a period of time where people are being almost overly speculative in terms of what to expect with this, in terms of what to do, when the reality of it is the border people voted based on the way the border crisis was being handled. It was one of the top issues, specifically in the swing state of Arizona and some other areas as well. And so I think it's a serious concern among the American people. Public polling does show still that mass deportations are heavily supported by a good chunk of the American people. So none of this is terribly surprising. The response, I think, from a lot of these Democratic politicians at this point could be arguably seen, at least by many, as premature.
Well, not only is it premature, but it seems really over the top, and they seem terrified of the idea that Trump might actually do what he said. And I want to get your reaction to this. Have a look at these CNN hosts when Tom Homan says that he will put the mayor of Denver in jail if that mayor does not cooperate, as the law requires, in helping with deportation efforts. Look at this.
Me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing put them in jail.
Oof.
Why Greg Abbott just sitting? Why Greg Abbott just sitting back there like an evil henchman, smiling like that?
They go to jail. I'm willing to put them in jail.
Oof.
The look on their faces was absolutely priceless there. Why is it, though, that when so many Americans say illegal immigration is a problem, not legal immigration, but illegal immigration, that this drove so many people to vote for Trump, that the Democrats, the people on the left, the CNNs, can't say, hey, you know, maybe the people have a point, maybe we should go along?
Now, what I find fascinating about these people, right, and shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy, is that crimes of a sexual nature, those are true impulse crimes, right? And, you know, we don't commit a lot of crimes of a quote unquote sexual nature. I'm not trying to be funny, man, but, you know, I got to question, you know what I'm saying, a lot of brothers that do that because, I mean, you know, for the most part, if, you know what I'm saying, why would you do that when you got women just, you know, for the most part, willing to give it to you, right? But we don't really commit crimes of that nature all like that. Most other groups of people do. And I find it fascinating. Those are the true raw impulse, low impulse control crimes, and they kind of just don't get discussed. They kind of just don't get discussed. Those are the true crimes of biological nature, where you have chemicals in your body that create certain, you know, urges and stimulations. And if in your human brain, you can't stop yourself from touching that woman or that man or that animal or that object or whatever it might be, well, then you don't have impulse control. Let's go take a look at those FBI crime statistics, the same ones that they get the 13.55% ratio at, and look at some other crimes and have a difficult conversation about that. And I guarantee you, people ain't going to like that one because that'll show where your low impulse control is. People that commit those type of crimes in prison, they give them medicine to help them control those type of impulses. If I'm not mistaken, there's a medication called cimetidine, and it's a medicine that's supposed to suppress what they call, quote unquote, sexual arousal. I call it urges because arousal is not indicative of a action. It's simply an arousal, right? You have to go ahead and, you know, you can pick up a gun and point it, right? It's not indicative of a shot. You see what I'm saying? So an arousal is not indicative of an action, right? But with some people who commit these type of crimes, you have to give them this pill to stop the arousal, because if the arousal occurs, the action is almost inevitable. That's indicative of low impulse control. That's indicative of low impulse control. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
God forbid the people want.
Well, the reality of it is this. I spend most of my time in Arizona. I'm here in Tennessee for Thanksgiving, but you look at the drug trafficking issue and it impacts everywhere. I've had mothers who have sons have died from fentanyl poisoning grip my arm as they tell me about their kid that they lost from a fentanyl poisoning. And so, you know, you see these issues and it trickles down to the everyday American. This is not just impacting border communities, although it's a massive issue there. This has widespread implications no matter how far away you are from the border. And there seems to be this lack of understanding, this knowledge gap of knowing that, hey, you know, people are deeply concerned about this, and it doesn't always tie back to just, oh, well, maybe I don't like these people that are coming through. There are serious drug issues related to the fact that the cartels are now using citizens going through ports of entries because those border agents are so distracted dealing with the influx of migrants at the border. Just a year ago in Lukeville, Arizona, we saw a port of entry closure as a result of the fact that it was so busy with the amount of migrants coming through this country illegally that the legal
and we definitely covered that port of entry closure in Arizona. You guys remember that? And shout out to everybody that's watching, man. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
Entry in Lukeville could not even be maintained properly. This goes so far beyond what the rhetoric says in terms of real life consequences for people. And I think that's why the American people have said we've had this issue needs to be handled very quickly.
And it does seem like there's a bit of a tide shifting on this here. I mean, sure, we've got the Denver mayor on the one hand, but we've had rulings this week that Texas could, in fact, install razor wire on its border, which again seems like total common sense. And even Boston Mayor Michelle Wu
Shout out to my man Leonard. What's good with you, bro?
And started to moderate some of her previously very combative tones about fighting with the Trump administration on this. Are people starting to wake up, whether it's the judges or the courts or the media or the mayors, that this is what people want, and actually that you can't have a nation if you don't have borders?
Now, in Arizona, there was a proposition that was just passed with right around 60% of the vote that would allow local and state authorities to enforce federal immigration laws. It passed with flying colors. And, we have a Democratic governor in the state, and she will, depending on the ruling of, a similar Texas law in that court, she will then have to be okay with whatever happens next when it comes to that proposition, because the people of Arizona, which means it would have had to have been a good chunk of Democrats and independent voters as well, said, we need to be able to enforce our laws, whether or not the federal government's going to do it. And so there are some serious questions that are being raised now in terms of this actual enforcement. I think in the next Trump administration, you're going to see very swift changes. You're going to see most likely the return of a Remain in Mexico policy. You're going to see probably.
Yeah, shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said they were cutting the razor wire. Yeah, you guys remember back when Governor Abbott had announced Operation Lone Star, the two major features of Operation Lone Star, right? The two major features were the buoys, right? The buoys and the razor wire. And if you guys recall, the Biden administration was sending people down to Texas to cut the razor wire. All right. If you guys recall that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not recall that, then give me a thumbs down. That's what they were doing. And so recently, Supreme Court appeals court overturned the Biden administration's original ruling and said it is illegal for you to cut this razor wire. Do not do it anymore.
Stricter enforcement from Border Patrol agents. I always hear this argument of, we need to hire all these more Border Patrol agents. The reality is, let's see what the ones that we have right now can do if they're not.
So I don't know. It may be a conflict of interest for them to work in those capacities, if you ask me. Right? Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said them individuals there be letting their friends and relatives in the old country come through. And they be running special deals for their homeboys, cousins, uncles, primos, you know what I'm saying? Tias and TOs, you know what I'm saying, in the cartel, because they all got a lot of people got a blood relative that's a member of a cartel. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand how big the cartel is. You know what I'm saying? The cartel makes up, if I'm not mistaken, 5% of the Mexican GDP. There's a lot of cartels. All the cartels are based off families. Those people are linked in with the politicians and with the government. It is not uncommon. It is not believable for someone, if they say, I have a relative that's in the cartel, they probably do. The same way many of us might have relatives that are, you know what I'm saying, involved in particular activities, right? No different on the other side of the fence. You know what I'm saying? No different on the other side of the fence. And they're so interlinked, you know what I'm saying, that La MA, for the most part, even if they're not related, they control in all of the gangs, even the gangs that's not Mexican. So they might not have friends there, but it's just like a cell phone plan. They got friends and family. You know what I'm saying? You might have La MA, and you might have some Salvadorians that's MS-13, but guess what? They linked in with La MA. That's why they got that 13 on there. You know what I'm saying? But, the people they're not really street smart all like that. So even a lot of people that's in the street, a lot of gangbangers, a lot of people that's in the street are not really street smart. So they just dumb as hell anyway, and they don't even understand what this means. You know what I'm saying? So, you can be sitting up here saying this and saying all this, and they think that because you never been to prison or because you never been to jail, you don't know what you're talking about, but you know how the street works better than them because you're not an idiot and they are. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just it's all kind of stuff going on.
dealing with a massive influx of people to begin with. There's so much that can be thrown at the issue, but the real basics at the end of the day is how do you make sure?
Yeah, I mean it's like a spoke on a wheel. You know what I'm saying? You got they deal with them who deal with them on the street level. You know what I'm saying? Then you got like the white side, and they bridge it over with the motorcycle gangs. You know what I'm saying? You got the banditos. You know what I'm saying? Laughing jokers. You know what I'm saying? Mongols and all of that on the motorcycle side. You got your little, you know what I'm saying, the white gangs that got their little Hispanic sector, you know what I'm saying, because the white gangs let Hispanic people be a part of their gangs, even though they say that they don't, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know what I'm saying, you got a lot of spokes on that wheel, and it's all organized. And that's what I be saying about the organization. And then you got these other cats, you know what I'm saying? You got the other cats that think banging on wax, you know what I'm saying, is still a thing. They still trying to live out them lyrics. They still trying to live out them lyrics of Pyru Love, and everybody else is shooting at the whole album cover, and they dumb as hell. Everybody else shooting at the whole album cover of Banging on Wax, but you still got people trying to act out Pyru Love. Like, make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. You know what I'm saying?
That the people that you close up the border where it shouldn't even be open in the first place, so that way these agents can focus on doing their jobs.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Now, don't go anywhere, because Only in America is next. And if it doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, I don't know.
All right, so there's that. All right, there is that. All right, so next, what we gonna do? Let me see something real quick. Let me see here. Let me see. We might save that for something else. We're gonna talk about these alleged kids. We're gonna talk about these alleged kids that they've been finding down at the border. We're gonna say this other little video for something else. All right. 4-year-old girl found alone at the border. All right. Why are they finding 4-year-olds alone down there at the border? Why is that happening? Is that a setup? Somebody let me know if that's a setup or not. Okay. Somebody let me know if that's a setup or not. All right, my bad. Let's get it.
And joining us now to talk more about this case is Lieutenant Chris Oliveras.
Great to be with you, Natasha. Good evening.
And you actually first shared this video of this abandoned 4-year-old little girl. Can you tell us anything about where she may be now, and also what happened to the smuggler?
Well, I mean, first off, Jorge has been doing some great reporting, and actually, I shared that video because, I want the American people to see the impacts of this current border situation that we've been in for the last 3+ years, and how it impacts unaccompanied children that are coming across that border. I think just by that phone call alone, hearing the mother, if it is the mother, in fact, that's another thing too, is that we don't know exactly, who the person is behind that phone call. If it is a mother or a legal guardian, whoever it may be, but it's all too common now. It's becoming more a common occurrence now, where we're starting to encounter more unaccompanied children. That little girl, she's still in, federal custody right now with U.S. Border Patrol. And after that, they turn over to Health and Human Services. And then from there, we don't know exactly where they end up. We never know, and it's kind of even hard for me to even say that, as you see in Texas, that, we don't even know where these children end up. All we do know is that the brief moments that we have with these children on the border, it's very brief. All we can do as a state police agency is try to talk to these children, see if there's any signs of abuse or exploitation, or if a child makes an outcry that they've been abused on their journey to the United States. But for the most part, other than that, we turn these children over to Border Patrol, and from there, we don't know exactly where they end up.
And the smuggler has been arrested?
Well, this particular case, this 2-year-old, there was no smuggler involved. These children came across, I think in that particular group with that 2-year-old that you showed that video of, there were 60 that came across that day, 60 unaccompanied children. Now, we had multiple cases after that. We actually had a 10-year-old little boy from El Salvador on Thanksgiving morning that was brought across by a smuggler from Mexico and was left abandoned, and the child was lost. So luckily, one of our state troopers was there to able to recover.
No, let me ask y'all this, man. How is it? I don't understand. How are these people comfortable with just allowing the kids to go from place to place like this? We talked about this when we discussed this video before. Me personally, I just don't get it, man. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it with my kids, man. Like, I could not just let my kids be out and about like this, man. Like, that is just crazy to me. Yeah, I gotta agree. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said to even have to think about that, these people are sick. Facts. If you guys agree with Deformed Pretty Boy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Queen Now. What's good with the Queen Now? Yeah, man, that's facts.
And also just this past weekend on Friday, a little girl that we actually were able to capture on a camera image where a smuggler was bringing the little girl across the river and then was then given to another smuggler, which we were able to arrest that smuggler. So we've had multiple events during this week involving.
Now, here go my thing, right? Shout out to Queen Now. Queen Now said, Trump got to go after all the WUS farmers and corporations. They need to go to jail. Their actions dealing with illegal aliens is treasonous to America, USA. To me, they all must be jailed and fined. Here's the reality, right? Trump trying to make money with them people, right? So he's definitely not going to do anything that's going to endanger those farmers that, you know what I'm saying, he identifies with. Here's how you deal with that. We got to buy stock in them companies, man. Take over them companies. You know what I'm saying? And when Trump pour all the money into them, make sure we get that money into our capital gains and buy more majority shares of them and push them people out. But to expect Trump to actually, you know, enact justice against the people who put him in office to help them maintain their control over the country, I don't know how realistic of an expectation that is. We got to manipulate what's available for us to do, for us to be able to pull the strings and not leave it up to the guys and the people who have a historic pattern of double talking and split tonguing, holding up agreements. I mean, we literally just celebrated a holiday that was based on a fake agreement, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said, because Rob, growing up around them folks my whole life, I've seen them do the craziest stuff. They have zero loyalty, even to family. If it's for the bag or opportunity, they will end family members. Oh, absolutely. You seen Scarface. Look at how Scarface blacked out on Manolo. And Manolo, I mean, he wasn't like he was doing anything wrong. I mean, like, you know, he fell in love with Tony's sister. I mean, he actually fell in love with her. It ain't like he was like doing her dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mans was trying to wife her up and put her up. And Tony couldn't handle that. I mean, why would, I mean, if anybody gonna get with your sister and give your sister a good life, I mean, I think you got the best situation with Manolo. Of course, you know, Manolo was a thug, you know what I'm saying? You don't want that. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, though, I mean, I think you kind of got the best deal out of that. You know what I'm saying? And Tony Montana, you know what I'm saying, took Manolo out simply because I don't know. That was some simp emotional Pookie stuff that Tony Montana did as far as taking Manolo out because, you know what I'm saying, he was messing around with Tony's sister. I didn't get that. You know what I'm saying? But that's that stuff right there. That now, if you ask me, in that situation, that was Tony. He wasn't being loyal to his sister. And he wasn't being loyal to Manolo. He wasn't being loyal to anybody except for his what? His own low impulse control urges. Let's go.
Unaccompanied children, and it really shows the inner workings of how these criminals are operating. And also how some of these family members, if they are family members, in fact, how they even allow their child to make this long, precarious journey to the States. I mean, I couldn't see myself doing that with my own child. I don't see anybody else can do that, but they've been put in a situation right now that they're desperate. They got to get the children across the border. So the only way they can do that is by paying.
See, that's wild, bro.
To get them across.
Yeah, and it was an emotional phone.
That's crazy. What's funny about it? That's that Democrat stuff, man. That's what the Democrats trying to get people to do right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, don't deal with your family because they might have voted a different way. Like what? Joy Reid to sit up there and be like, after you eat your tofurkey, go off one of your family members. Like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Sorry.
Call the woman claiming to be the mother, saying that she believed hiring smugglers to bring her daughter here would be safer than leaving her in Honduras. You know, to your point, you say that Texas agents, just Texas, have encountered more than 140 unaccompanied children in just the first 3 days of the week. Right. How young are some of these unaccompanied children, and why is this happening more? Why now?
Well, the children that we've come across, I mean, the ages have ranged from 2 all the way to 17. And the reason why I believe we're seeing more of an influx of unaccompanied children, because if we go back and look at with the current administration, whatever agreement they made with Mexico to get the numbers down, they've been able to manage the numbers since January. But with that, there is no safety mechanisms, there is no protocols in place to protect unaccompanied children. That's why we're seeing an influx of unaccompanied children coming across that border, because they will, in fact, at some point get released. And I think that's where we look at, the dangers behind that and who's involved with these criminal organizations that are bringing these children across. I can't even imagine, as I said, just seeing some of those photos from the mother, the other children involved in that stash house. And we know how stash is, how they operate, very poor conditions. Sometimes there's no running water, electricity, food. And they're in there also with other adults, possibly other criminals. So it's a very dangerous environment for these children to be exposed to. And I think we're going to continue to see more of that, unfortunately, until we actually have some sort of, mechanism in place to protect these children and to, deter the incentive from having these children come across by themselves.
Okay, Lieutenant Chris Oliveras, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much.
All right, so there's that. All right, so again, it's this issue, and we keep seeing this. This recurrent theme. All these kids coming across the border. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's just wild. You know what I'm saying? And you got to ask yourself how much of this stuff is photo op. Why are these people utilizing these criminal means and letting their children be around these people? It's just very bizarre. It's just very bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. All right. So how many people heard about the situation between the Texas hospitals and Governor Abbott? You guys heard about that? If you guys heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about that, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed that like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment. Smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share this stream to your social media. All right? We got to take a look at this. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If a hospital is not compliant with the state laws in regards to immigration, mass deportation, or however the state is cooperating with the government, I should say, right? Do you all feel that that hospital should continue to get state funding? If you do, give me a thumbs up. If you do not, then give me a thumbs down.
After he allies are blasting the mayor after he vowed to use the city's police force to prevent federal forces from deporting illegal migrants. Mayor Mike Johnston has since walked back those comments, but said this when asked if he was willing to go to jail to protest Trump's plan.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think that the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems.
Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert responding to his remarks on social media, writing, quote, "If only the left was as interested in taking care of Americans as they are in taking care of illegals, we would achieve great things working together. Instead, we have this." A Texas doctor has been caught in.
See, look at Lauren Boebert making sense. You know what I'm saying? When she don't have her mouth on somebody in the movie theater in the dark, doing stuff she ain't supposed to be doing in public, once in a blue moon, a little bit of shining light of common sense actually peeks out. You know what I'm saying?
We have this. A Texas doctor has been caught encouraging patients to defy an executive order issued by Governor Greg Abbott. Dr. Tony Pastor from Texas Children's Hospital posted this video you're looking at right here on TikTok. In it, he tells patients it's okay to skip a new question on intake forms, asking if they are U.S. citizens. The state asked.
Why would you do that? And I'm not trying to be funny, but as a healthcare worker, as overworked and underpaid as you are already, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that to make your job even more difficult? I don't understand.
Order issued by Governor Greg Abbott. Dr. Tony Pastor from Texas Children's Hospital posted this video you're looking at right here on TikTok. In it, he tells patients it's okay to skip a new question on intake forms, asking if they are U.S. citizens. The state asks that question in order to collect data on the financial burden of providing medical care to illegal migrants. That video, of course, grabbing the attention of Governor Greg Abbott, who warned the hospital to have crystal clear records, adding that there will be consequences for failing to follow.
Man, you know that doctor's job is gone. That doctor's job is gone. Greg Abbott directly texted on Twitter and said, "Hey, Texas Children's Hospital and Baylor College of Medicine, this doctor is putting your Medicaid and Medicare funding at risk. You better think twice and have crystal clear records. There will be consequences for failing to follow the law in the executive order." You know that doctor is gone. He might not even have a license anymore. There ain't nobody about to hire him, man. And the governor had like tweeted directly addressing his video. He's not going to be able to find a job anywhere in the state of Texas. He going to go somewhere and change his name. I don't understand the crash out, man. I don't understand the crash out, man. How many of y'all would crash out and risk your career like that? You got me bent, man. You got me bent. Ain't no way you gonna catch me doing that. Ain't no way you gonna catch me doing that.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott threatening to cut funding to Texas public hospitals that defy a controversial executive order.
Yeah, this after a Texas doctor is going viral, telling people to ignore Abbott's executive order mandating that hospitals ask for patients' immigration status. Okay, Fox 14 News at 9's Julia Spencer has more on that video and some local reaction.
Well, this is the viral video from that doctor telling over 1 million people to ignore Abbott's executive order and refuse to answer any question regarding their immigration status. Now, this video made the governor respond to it publicly on Twitter, leaving some worrisome threats. Now, go ahead and take a listen to what exactly this doctor had to say, prompting that response from the governor.
So, my proposal to everyone and who's seeing this is just know that you do not have to answer this question. And my second sort of proposal is, wouldn't it be amazing if everyone who comes in doesn't answer it and really messes with whatever data that they're looking for?
Yeah, I don't think that would be the best idea. I don't think that this would be the best idea. And I think you already know that this guy has no problem doing those legitimate surgeries. That dude there, he don't have no problem doing any of those legitimate surgeries. You know what I'm saying?
What kind of shit is that?
Yeah, shout out to AW1, bro. Facts. You know, some people are just crazy. Big facts.
Well, this is the viral video from that doctor telling over 1 million people to ignore Abbott's executive order and refuse to answer any question regarding their immigration status. Now, this video made the governor respond to it publicly on Twitter, leaving some worrisome threats. Now, go ahead and take a listen to what exactly this doctor had to say, prompting that response from the governor.
So, my proposal to everyone and who's seeing this is just know that you do not have to answer this question. And my second sort of proposal is, wouldn't it be amazing if everyone who comes in doesn't answer it and really messes with whatever data that they're looking for?
Dr. Tony Pastor is a cardiologist at Texas Children's Hospital who posted this viral video on TikTok, telling people to ignore a question asking patients for their immigration status. As we've reported, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is directing the state's Health and Human Services Commission to collect information on undocumented immigrants who use public hospitals for emergency care. That way, the state can seek reimbursement from the federal government.
Any patient who comes to a hospital has to click the box, basically. There's on the intake form.
Now, again, you got to ask the question, right? Why would this doctor, like, sometimes you got to, I don't know, I question. Sometimes it's almost like, I don't know, do people understand pay sources or what? I don't get it. But like, why would this doctor not want the hospital to be able to get their Medicaid, Medicare reimbursement so that they can pay paychecks and buy supplies and pay overtime and stuff like that? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
The video has been seen by more than 1 million people. Pastor says it makes medical providers uncomfortable asking the questions and could possibly lead to an ulterior motive.
Okay. Now, shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said he got boxes of Diddy oil. Yo, if y'all think that this dude got a whole bunch, if y'all think he got a whole bunch of boxes of Diddy oil, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down.
The country's moving.
Yeah, he definitely working with. Hey, he working with Slip and Slide Records, like Trick Daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Worry that this is information that people are going to use to deport people.
In response, Governor Greg Abbott posted online warning Texas Children's and Baylor School of Medicine of the video, stating that their, quote, Medicaid and Medicare funding is at risk, and that there will be consequences for failing to follow the executive order.
I don't think it's fair for him to do it. I mean, I know that he has the power, but I don't think it would be fair for those people working there, because I just see it as kind of inhumane of him.
Abbott's executive order went into effect.
We're going to still keep advocating for our patients because that's why we went to medical school and not to be like ICE deportation people.
I don't think anybody ever asked you to be an ICE deportation person. But at the same time, though, like a lot of people didn't ask to be birthing people either. And somehow now they are.
Now, I reached out to a Texas Children's Hospital and to the doctor, Tony Pastor, who posted this video. However, I'm still waiting on their response. Meantime, the Texas Association of Hospitals has said in the past this will not change patient care for those that need it. I'm live in the studio tonight. Julia Spencer, back to you.
All right, so there's that. So I think that that's interesting, right? Again, there's these interesting crash outs. These crash outs are extremely interesting. Okay. These crash outs are extremely interesting. Now, I just want to run through this stuff real quick. Let me see. I think we believe it or not. I think that we have gotten everything that we need to get in terms of dealing with the quote unquote migrant crisis. All right. We are killing it out here. Shout out to everybody watching. If y'all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. And also make sure that you are a part of the Discord. All right. Make sure that you guys are a part of the Discord and make sure that you are subscribed to my backup channels. All right. Definitely about to be using them some more since we got BLR1 or since we got BLR2 on ICE and not with Immigration and Customs Services, right? So let's see what we got popping off here. Hold on real quick. Now, this video that we're about to watch is about to be pretty interesting, right? This is an exchange between Barry Moore and AOC over unaccompanied migrants lost during the Biden administration. This situation with the migrant crisis is just this is the Biden-Harris administration legacy. They're going to have a terrible legacy. No one is ever going to talk about anything good that took place during the quote-unquote Biden-Harris presidency because nothing good took place during the Biden-Harris presidency.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary, welcome. You know, before my time, I understand that this committee had 3 hearings on lost children under the Trump administration. At that time, it was only 1,000 lost children. The New York Times, actually, this is not a Republican rag, by the way. I reported in February of 2023, HHS had lost over 85,000 unaccompanied children. And my question to you is, as this process continues, I think you're in over your head. I think the administration has buried you. I don't think there's any way you can keep track of what's going on the southern border, and we're losing children by the droves. And when you talk about background checks, how is it that one individual could get 20 children? How does that happen, Mr. Secretary?
Congressman, thanks for the question. Actually, I think I heard 2 questions there. The first is on 85,000 lost kids. Again, not answering a phone call, that does not mean a child.
Secretary, let me tell you something. If my wife calls one of my kids, and on about the second call, we don't know where that child is, it is pandemonium around the Moore household. And I got news for you. When you're losing children to the tune of 85,000, there are parents somewhere in this world, and I don't know where the parents are, that are sending these children here for some reason. And they're being trafficked. They've been used for child labor. And again, this is the New York Times. This is not a Republican talking point. This is not a Republican rag. This is the New York Times talking about the mismanagement of this administration of these children and how we've lost them. And so my question.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why is it that we haven't heard about this in particular, you know, on NBC, CNN, you know, any of these news outlets, CBS, they haven't discussed any of this? How many people were aware that there were about 85,000 quote unquote missing children? Now, got to ask this question, right? If they are truly worried about family separation in the way that they claim that they're worried about family separation, why no discussions about this?
Question to you is, how does one sponsor get 20 children? If we're background checking, in fact, how does that happen?
Congressman, every sponsor must go through a background check process. Every sponsor must be able to show.
Mr. Secretary, what if they're a foreign national? Are you background checking if they're foreign nationals? Is it possible that MS-13 is bringing the people across the border and taking custody of these children and putting them into trafficking and other unspeakable sort of things? Is that possible?
Remember, I mentioned in my opening testimony that the vast majority, 80, 90% of the kids that we place with the parent.
If you're not doing bioidentical, if you're not identifying these people, biometrics, how do you know they're the parents?
So there are many ways to provide or to prove identity. You can look at
So they can prove identity to take custody of children, but not to vote. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So you're saying voter ID doesn't need to be required. There's no way to verify somebody's identity. But if they're going to take custody of a child in a foreign country, you're saying they do have an ID or they need to have an ID.
You said voter ID?
Yeah, what I'm saying, in other words, is you require an ID for these people supposedly to take these children, but then you say many times on the left, they say, well, voter ID is racist or discriminatory. So explain to me, how is it that you're verifying the ID of these people if they don't have IDs and nobody can get IDs?
Thank you for the question. Identity documents are one of the many tools that we use to try to ascertain.
How do you have identity documents if you're undocumented? This is the question that we've been asking forever, right? Seriously, like let's just break this down. How do you have identity documents if you are indeed undocumented? How does that work exactly? I'm not sure how it works exactly because I'm not an oracle. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking the question, because I don't know. And I would like to, because I'd like things to make sense. Right? Yeah. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. This is word salad. Facts.
The relationship of the child with the potential sponsor. But there are other things that we'll do. There's a sponsor that has not provided sufficient identification and proven that tie to the child. We can turn to things like fingerprinting if we need.
So you think this person that got these 20 children is related to all 20 of those kids? Is that what I'm hearing? Or
what I can tell you again is that every sponsor must go through a vetting process in order to be able to sponsor any child.
But if they're a foreign national, we do vet those people as well? Or
anyone who wishes to apply to sponsor a child must go through the process. If they decline to go through the process, they cannot sponsor.
Well, earlier one of the members mentioned that a certain sponsor had kids delivered to different addresses. How do y'all cross-reference that? How do you justify that?
I'm not familiar with any case that you're referencing, but what I will tell you again is when we—
That was a Florida grand jury case, by the way.
When we go through the background checks, we ascertain any number of things, including residence, where the child will be placed. We check on household members in that place as well, in the home. So we go through the process of not only vetting sponsors, but we also check with those members in the household.
So in the Florida grand jury case where the one child was delivered to the strip club, did y'all vet that location? I mean, was that considered a house? I mean, it's just a strip club now.
Man, that's crazy. How many people heard about this Florida quote unquote grand jury case where some undocumented child was delivered to a strip club? I never heard of that. Definitely, if I get my hands on some information about that particular case, we will definitely be covering that. But yeah, wasn't aware of that one. You know what I'm saying? Was not aware of that one.
Is it a house for children being trafficked or lost?
As I mentioned, Congressman, we can discuss the Florida report. There are many issues that we have with that report.
Let me ask you a real quick question. I'm going to change subjects real quick. And many of the members have mentioned it, the Kayla Hamilton case where Mr. Martinez, he came across as an unaccompanied child and then ended up killing Ms. Hamilton. How many UACs, unaccompanied children now, do we have in secure facilities? Are you housing in secure facilities? Do you know?
We use secure facilities if we don't believe that we can manage the children or keep the children that they would be around safe, or perhaps even for the safety of the individual. I don't have that number. I can take that back to my team.
Yeah, we'd be curious to know that. I'm kind of trying to figure out how in the world I had this situation in one of my areas where I drug a 11-year-old girl into a restroom and raped her, and yet he was identified as a child. And I don't know how you understand like a 31-year-old. How do you identify that as a child? Is there any test on age when the kids come here? Do you get any documentation on birth certificates, anything like that?
You're going to many of the documents and the ways that we try to ascertain not just the child's identity, but also get back into the background of anyone who wishes to sponsor.
Yeah, that's again, I've questioned this before, and this is that sponsorship program that they're talking about for the quote unquote asylum, right? And it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So let me see what we got, man. I believe it or not. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I believe Yeah, it sounds like some hood rat stuff, bro. That's straight up hood rat stuff. We've talked about Mike Johnston. I don't think we need to go over him anymore. We've gone through Greg Abbott, Tom Homan, talked about the mass deportation plan. All right. Let me see what else we got. Local law enforcement. We've talked about local law enforcement's involvement. All right. I think for the most part, we've got most of what we need to discuss out of the way. Let me ask you guys this question. How do people feel about the quote unquote military being used in these quote unquote mass deportations? Now, I think that it's funny, right? But I honestly, I haven't heard anything about just like army tanks rolling through cities being used as far as as far as these mass deportations. So I don't know, like when they I don't know when they talk about these quote unquote the military, like where they're getting this idea or the involvement of the military that people think that there's going to be. I think we should just go over that, just to, just to touch it, right? Just to touch on it, right? And then we can go from there. All right. Now Trump has also, since all of this has gone down, right? Trump has reacted to the Hunter Biden pardon. Okay. Trump has reacted to the Hunter Biden pardon. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What do you all think that Trump said about the Hunter Biden pardon? And this is interesting. They got a video on here talking about the First Amendment's dark history. I mean, when it comes to the United States, it's not the only thing that has a dark history, but that's just interesting. The First Amendment's dark history. What did the First Amendment do to get picked on? Anyway, let's check this out, man. Hold on. Your boy Geraldo is on here. All right. Your boy Geraldo is a very weird dude. Very weird. You know what I'm saying?
Regain the White House. Anything goes. Anything goes. And woe is us if we are so self-interested, so selfish that we would not only hold our nose, but suspend our principles.
Shout out to everybody watching real quick. If you guys have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share this stream to your social media.
To support him again.
So Geraldo Rivera's words before this election day. You spoke out. You were a former friend of Trump. You self-described. You know a lot of the members of this incoming cabinet nominees because of your time at Fox and a long time and award-winning journalist.
How are you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. We heard your story. You did something that others have not done. You said, hey, against him. We also now know that he won this election. So where do you stand, having raised those alarms, but also, of course, we all follow the rule of law on the election results. How do you think things are looking today?
What a great way do I stand now that he's the president-elect with this overwhelming mandate. I thought with some trepidation about the example of Morning Joe and Mr. and Mrs. And going down, kissing the ring, and so forth. And would I do that? I haven't yet. I don't expect to. Although he is the president of all America now, the campaign is over.
Geraldo is just like on a narcissistic high right here. Wouldn't you guys say? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Like, damn, that's crazy, man. This dude can't stop kissing his own ass.
I am reminded of the scene with Joe Biden and Donald Trump in front of the fire going on in the White House. And, that's the way it used to be. I lament that that's not the way it was last time. Obviously, it was outrageous the way he behaved. It was more than outrageous. It was criminal, I think. But now he's the president. And the question is, what do you do about it? You could spend the next 4 years weeping in the library, but I don't know. I don't know whether I will. That could be, you could have like a question every Friday. Has Geraldo congratulated Donald Trump yet? Has he gone to kiss the ring yet? Like Mika and Joe.
Yeah, I guess,
so,
look, there are people who, no, and I think there are people who look at it a number of different ways. Covering this stuff versus whether you see yourself in dialogue with a politician is a distinction there. I mentioned your Fox colleagues. I'm sure that there's a certain association, right, with anyone that you know. And if you know someone and you like them, then okay, great. You think they're getting an opportunity. Although I think it's also fair to say that Donald Trump is so focused on casting, and it seems like sometimes he's casting only from those that he knows already from television and not using the tremendous opportunity and resources of the United States government to recruit from everyone in the country. So notwithstanding
now,
that,
as far as that goes, right, I don't think that Trump would recruit from quote unquote people in the country, because if Trump believes that there's this issue with the quote unquote deep state, right, that would be literally like quote unquote diving into the deep state to get your closest confidants, which is more than likely what he's probably trying to avoid, right? So again, when you listen to this stuff and you hear these people ask these questions, you got to ask yourself, like, where do they, you know what I'm saying, like, where's their thought process at? Like, they're not even really trying to make sense of any of this stuff going on.
Sure, you have good things to say about some of them. What about that? Should the whole cabinet be coming off the airwaves?
That's an excellent question, and it does seem to me that he's taking the path of least resistance, and the television has played an inordinate role. But from my point of view, I have several different takes on it. Number one is I remember all those years, I mean, particularly when he won the election, how cool it was that your old buddy is a president of the United States. Now my old buddy is the Secretary of Defense designate. Let's say they get confirmed. The Attorney General of the United States, the Transportation Secretary, the head of the Secret Service. When you think about it in those terms, I never thought, coming from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and West Babylon, Long Island, that I would be, on a first-name basis with the people who run the most amazing country on earth, the most powerful country, so on and so forth. So it is humbling, and it distorts your reaction to things. Maybe.
Let me ask you guys this question: is Geraldo babbling? Is this what people would call babble? If you guys would agree that Geraldo is babbling, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If Geraldo is not babbling and he's making coherent sense and everybody really is getting something out of this, then give me a thumbs down.
You fight so it doesn't change your values, that the positions that you express are your positions, and you stick by your principles. But it is a heady experience. Make no mistake about it. Now, in terms of,
it's interesting. You use that word distort, and much has been said about the president-elect's fame, his so-called celebrity, and whether he's used that in a way as a crutch to distort things which otherwise wouldn't cut ice. I mean, I mentioned it earlier in the program, the ethics allegations that his aides faced last time, many of them were driven out of office for it, and what they're facing now. The New York Times and a conservative outlet, as you know, Just the News from Solomon, reporting on allegations of influence peddling. That's not left or right. That's just unethical if proven. And then you go to the immigration issues, which I want to get your follow-up on, because again, you say, well, is it distortive, or you recognize somebody, or you have a link with them? Fine. But what about when they're bad-mouthing so many of our fellow?
Bro, facts. He's straight weird, bro. Geraldo is a straight-up weirdo, and he makes absolutely no sense, and he's 110% completely self-focused.
Americans or people who are legal documented immigrants, and some people who are undocumented. Take a listen to Geraldo, again, from that interview we did pre-election. This is what you said about some of that.
It is absolutely imperative that people whose names sound like mine understand that this guy says that we are poisoning the blood of the country. He says that it is in our genes that we commit murder. This is a guy who promises mass deportation of our friends.
Is Geraldo using identity politics? Guys who have names that sound just like mine. Now, isn't it hilarious how everybody else is allowed to use that talking point, but for some reason it's supposed to be invalid for us? He's making fun of me and people that have names like me. This dude sounds like a woke liberal wuss, doesn't he? If you guys would agree, Geraldo sounds like a buck-broken woke liberal wuss then give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, wait a minute, right? Because this is identity politics. This is identity politics, and these are the identity politics that people are not supposed to use. So why is it that this funny face clown is getting the opportunity to be able to use this and being sympathized for? That's what we got to sit around and have a discussion at while we laugh at how funny this dude's face looks.
Our fellow Americans or people who are legal documented immigrants and some people who are undocumented. Take a listen to Geraldo again from that interview we did pre-election. This is what you said about some of that.
It is absolutely imperative that people whose names sound like mine understand that this guy says that we are poisoning the blood of the country. He says that it is in our genes that we commit murder. This is a guy who promises.
Shout out to AW1. AW1 said, yo, Rob, he ain't woke. He's just a liberal puppet. Bro, facts. Oh, man, that's hilarious.
Mass deportation of our friends and relatives should he regain the White House.
That's how you put it. And you were right about the mass deportation. We now have the headlines from the transition. He wants to declare a national emergency, use the military, and do mass deportations of the undocumented. What do you say to Donald Trump, someone who you knew for so many years, tonight? What do you say to him about what he's planning?
Well, I'm not sure he would take my advice on it, Ari, but let me be unequivocal about it. The part you have not yet gotten to is the fact that the confirmation came about the vast holding areas. So to convince people that they should not appeal their cases and drag out their stay, even if they're here and they have a right to due process 2 years down the line, to get them to leave now expeditiously, they're going to make those vast holding areas so unpleasant that people will be dying to get out to go home. I think that's the thinking. It is an obscenity. And everything I said pre-election, I say now in bold letters. This is horrifying what they have planned. Can you imagine a vast holding area? Just think of the Japanese internment in World War II. This is going to be that in a much vaster scale. And
really, sounds like identity politics. Sounds like woke. And let me ask about this Japanese internment camp. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, it was just so long ago. It's just so long ago. And those people were already paid. I mean, are we just going to sit here and live in the shadows of our mistakes or what? Let me ask you guys this question. Were those people already paid? Those people were already paid. So why are we bringing this up? Why are we bringing this up? Why are we talking about this? Why are we having this discussion? Why is Geraldo Rivera moving his funny face and his forehead muscles in the way that he's doing, looking like a bowl of mixed up pancakes to discuss these things that have already been settled and they're things of the past? These are things of the past. 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 Who cares about this? This is all made right. We live in America and America's great now. Right? Right? Why are we bringing up things in regards to stuff where people got paid? Shout out to everybody, man. How many of you all were responsible for locking up someone in a Japanese internment camp? I never locked up one Japanese person alive today. I don't have anything to do with that. I'm not bearing those sins. That had nothing to do with me. While those people were, I don't know what happened and they were locked up. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that I have family members that, supported the United States during World War II. Some people supported the United States during World War II in the military, and some people supported it in the workforce, and other people were in camps. I don't know how they were in camps when they should have been supporting the country. Isn't that the same type of logic that they would use if it was something that we were discussing how it affected us? I think that we should boldly discuss these other people's issues in this way until they decide to start addressing our issues in an objective fashion. I have absolutely no problem with downplaying somebody else's trauma who doesn't care about mine. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. I don't even understand why we're discussing this. All of these things that Geraldo is discussing, these are all things that were in the past. None of this affected him. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't gotten deported. Nobody else in America has deported him or anybody in his family. I don't want to hear about this. This is ridiculous. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
the more people that they crowd into these places, the more horrifying it's going to be, and it will weigh on the conscience of every American.
No, it won't.
You know, there'll be no distortion
No,
about
absolutely
it. There'll be
not.
no explaining.
No. Like Hulk Hogan said, I am a true American, and I wouldn't think twice about this. I could care less. And the reason why I could care less is for that exact reason that you just said. I am a true American. Nobody in my family is going anywhere. And nobody can send anyone in my family anywhere. You're thinking about that because you can be sent.
About it, when you can look through a barbed wire fence and you see people that look just like you, and many of them in the country.
Yeah, when I look through barbed wire fences and see people that look like me, it's usually when there's a prison or a jail on the other side, not on the other side of the country, because I am a true American.
For a long time, people with the mixed families where one is a citizen and the husband and then the other, the wife is not. This is going to be a horror, and it's really going to, I think, tarnish the reputation of the nation, and it should affect the conscience of everybody who sees it.
No.
Is there a problem with undocumented immigration?
No black guilt. 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 I never deported one migrant. I never took over one person's homeland. I never did none of that. No black guilt. This is woke. NBG. Hashtag NBG. No black guilt. I don't care what this dude's talking about. If y'all agree, no black guilt. Hashtag NBG in the chat. No black guilt. I don't know what Geraldo was talking about.
Obviously. But there must be a more humane solution than the one proposed. And what was Tom Homan doing down on the border anyway today? He's not in office yet. He doesn't have a job yet. He's not working for any administration now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Geraldo. Number one, I think it's very interesting to get your take on all this, and I think people are listening to you, so that's striking, and we'll deal with it all together as a country. That's what we got to do. Before I lose you, it's not just politics here. As you know from your long time working in the press, one of the most striking things is you get your press badge or you go out to work and you talk to people, all kinds of people. And so because I get time with you here, because you're not signed to another cable network like Fox right now, I wanted to just go back to your career. One of the most intense, striking, for some controversial legal interviews you did with none other than Charles Manson. Let's roll the tape.
Others have killed more, and they've done it more recently. But Charles Manson is a name that has taken its place in American infamy.
Do you feel remorse? I don't know what that is. You know what I think? That you are an evil person. Right, I'm evil. I'm terrible. You are terrible. Oh, yeah, I'm awful. Look me straight away in the eye. Do I look like I'm guilty about anything? You look more guilty than anyone I ever looked in the eye in my life. Really?
You remember that interview? What can you tell us about that? What did you learn? And again, in the pioneering days of that earlier kind of rougher tumble TV, the interviews you did, the reporting you did, tell us about it.
Well, Manson really did reek of infamy. I really thought he was.
Now, see, back like that little clip there of Geraldo interviewing Charles Manson, that's back when TV was lit. Like the VHS graphic TV, like, you know what I'm saying, when you start vacuum cleaning or turn on the microwave and the TV get messed up with the UHS and the antennas. That's back when TV was lit. This stuff that's going on nowadays, like the streaming and all of that, man, this is corny. This is lame. This is just garbage. You know what I'm saying? It's not high quality at all. You know what I'm saying? But that little clip of Geraldo, that took me back. You know what I'm saying?
He was a disgusting person. And the worst thing about Manson and his popularity was the fact that he was the biggest selling T-shirt in the country at that time. It was a bizarre perversion in pop culture where this mass murderer was a celebrity as well as a disgusting criminal. It really Manson spooked me more than most. And I did several specials on crime specials dealing with mass murderers, various ones, the prostitution murders in Long Island and so forth. It's a weird part of life, but I've always been able, Ari, and I think you must also have that release valve where you can be professionally engaged in something in a circumstance that is horrible or very unpleasant or repulsive or whatever it is, and you still have a kind of a distance.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. So guess what? That's all I got. That's all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed Undocumented. If you're not subscribed to the channel, take a moment, hit that bell icon, subscribe to the channel. To people who have wrenches on my other channels, if you do not have a wrench on Undocumented, make sure that you leave a comment, not in the live chat right now, but at the end of the video when it posts, so I can go through and wrench you up real quick. Make sure you got the bell icon hit. Make sure you subbed up to the backup channels. Make sure you got me followed on all my other social media. If you are kind enough to fund the organization, take advantage of 50% off by using the code BLR on Patreon. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,